listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Hello, and welcome to the Element Apothec Show, where you will learn all things evidence-based about natural products and about health and wellness. I am your host, Dr. Swathi Varanasi, an integrative health pharmacist and wellness entrepreneur. We are so excited that you are here tuning in to our first episode. And so what we want to do just to get started is for you to learn a little bit more about me and why I'm in the integrative health space and why it's so important. Alrighty, so the integrative health space, or integrative medicine, integrative health pharmacy, you might have heard it called a lot of different things. Really, everyone describes it differently. And so to me, I define integrative health as a pharmacist really as this intersection between so many different possibilities and modalities for health, healing, and wellness. So as a Western trained pharmacist, I believe in the power of prescription medication, but I also believe in the power of nature and the power of other natural remedies that we can incorporate into our daily life to really optimize health and wellness for ourselves and, of course, for our loved ones and our patients. So to me, as I describe integrative health, you might be wondering, what are the other modalities? So by other modalities, I'm thinking about things like nutrition, sleep hygiene, homeopathy, pharmacogenomics, as well as movement and a meditation practice, and so many other modalities too. And one of the things that's, when I think of integrative health, I really think of patient-centered shared decision-making. And this means that the patient, of course, is in the center of all these different decisions. And I, meaning the integrative health pharmacist and anyone else in the integrative health space, really works as a team with the patient to figure out which of these many modalities are the best choice and how to create a plan that really fits with their lifestyle and their overall treatment goals. And so as an integrative health pharmacist, I've had a unconventional path, one would say, but a path that has led me and taught me so many different things that I am more than excited to share about on the podcast. So starting from a little bit of my background. So I grew up around Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient healing methodology that stems from India. I grew up around that, but of course, I also grew around the conventional prescription therapy and over-the-counter drugs. My dad was a supplement formulator and organic chemist by trade, and my mom was a nurse that then transitioned into the pharmaceutical industry, really evaluating clinical trial protocol. So I was around that from a young age. I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, but really didn't know where I fit. But that was, when anyone would ask me, I wanted to do that. But internally, if a teacher would ask me or anything, I would tell them, I want to be an inventor. So I had these two sides of, okay, I want to be an inventor. I want to be a healthcare professional. Like, how do they converge? And really, how does, my background in Ayurveda and my interest in preventative health really feed its way into everything that I do? So as I decided on pharmacy. I always saw pharmacists standing in the pharmacy between the supplements as well as the prescription medications, as the drug experts, as the ones that really have that direct access to patients at all times. And I loved that. I also knew growing up that there were pharmacists that owned their own pharmacies. So to me, that was like, wow, entrepreneurship sounded amazing. I also knew people, of course, like my mom, in industry. And so to me, in industry, there was just so many different opportunities and possibilities for what you could do with your career as well. So to me, I saw being a pharmacist as having so many different tools in my toolbox that I could potentially use later in life. And so, going through pharmacy school, I tried to find my place. I tried so many different things. I joked that by the time I graduated, I was the only person in my entire graduating class who had not tried or working in a pharmacy because I knew that there were so many other things a pharmacist could do that I wanted to try them. So I worked for a medical device startup for a while, which I absolutely loved. That was in the psychiatry space. And then I went on to be a part of a phase 3 clinical trial where I was a research associate, and I got to learn a lot about research, patient intake, maintenance, all of that stuff, and really liked it. And then on top of that, too, I got really involved in the community and ran for and got elected to the National Board of the Student National Pharmaceutical Association. So with that, I got to help a lot of different chapters around the country, not only visit them, but also help them put together a lot of nonprofit and, free clinic programs and educational talks and all these different things for the community, which then really inspired me to get involved in the local Charleston community because I went to the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. And I worked with a free clinic there to start a free diabetes education program, or rather the diabetes education program was at a free clinic. And so there I started the College of Pharmacy's first volunteer program in the community. And it still to this day is the only, volunteer program that's ongoing with our College of Pharmacy. So it's something I'm really proud of, that, I can leave that lasting impression on the university and really play a role in its growth. So that's a little bit about, what I did in pharmacy school that you might be interested in. So, I always put myself out there and was like, the worst thing that could happen is that, I don't get elected or this program doesn't work out. But I always knew that I wanted to try it and I wanted to see what was possible. And that was, a little bit of my journey. And then after that, I found an incredible mentor out in LA. And, I didn't at the time when I was curating all my API rotations, I was looking for things that I thought resonated with me. Again, I wanted to try all the different things from specialty pharmacy in Portland, Maine, all the way to ambulatory oncology pharmacy to, of course, integrative health pharmacy. So I found that there was a preceptor who had run an API rotation out in Los Angeles, and one of the MUSC students had gone there a few years prior. So I spoke to that student. She said it was an amazing experience. And it was something that I was always interested in and was like, wow, maybe this is something that I would really love. So I got there just within a few days into the rotation. I already knew that this was all these interests converging in one place. And I asked if there was a way that I could come back and train with this mentor. And this mentor that I keep, mentioning as this like mysterious figure is Dr. Pam Tarlow, who's an integrative health pharmacist and has been one for decades and is a wealth of information, has worked with patients one-on-one for this entirety of her being in the integrative health space, and has really learned so much about how patients should be educated on these practices that, of course, there is research, of course, there's evidence. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about on the podcast is, what research is out there to support these different modalities, delving into those publications, talking about them, and I'll be providing my perspective on them. And then would love to hear your feedback, whether it's in, comments, direct messages, email. I'll provide all my information in the show notes so that we can have that ongoing dialogue. And you can also give me perspective on what other types of, natural products or healing modalities that you want to hear about. Okay, so back to the story. That was a side note. Okay, so I asked her if there was a way we could continue to work together. I knew that I wanted to train with her. So I asked her and she said, let's continue the conversation. We continued it. And after, doing quite a few projects together, lecturing at a few local universities together, we, decided that we would go for it. And so what that meant was I would come back after graduation. I'd move to LA and I'd work with her. And so we decided to start the first ever and still only integrative health postdoctoral residency training program for pharmacists interested in pursuing this unconventional role. And so through this, I got to co-found the opportunity, but also be the first resident. So I got to curate this amazing program to be around these certain healing modalities that really resonated with me. And I got to train not only at that independent natural pharmacy that is in LA, in West LA, but I also got to train at an integrative HIV clinic. And that was an amazing experience. We had some connections with a college of traditional Chinese medicine. And so I was able to work with them, and they were already working at this free clinic, and they didn't have a pharmacist on staff, especially not an integrative pharmacist. And so I worked with those acupuncturists and herbalists a few times a week, as well as go to the pharmacy. And I learned a lot about mentorship, whether it's, being the mentee, but also mentoring other students too, which is now a big part of what I do. And a lot of what brings me joy is to know that I'm helping the future generations of pharmacists that are interested in pursuing unconventional roles, whether they're in integrative health or not, to give pharmacists that, boost of confidence that they have way down deep inside them, that they know that they want to do something a little bit different. Maybe their pharmacy school or their, colleagues in the pharmacy world are saying, oh, stick to what stick to the set path. But for some reason, something inside them says, I kind of want to try something a little bit new, and there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, that's a little bit about, my background, about my training. And really what I learned from that 1-year residency program is that I really loved the educational side, whether it was one-on-one with patients, or it was more of the macro scale of educating, whether it's classes, speaking at conventions and conferences, putting together online courses. And so that's really what I focused on after the residency. And I sought out a lot of different educational opportunities. I started consulting for some health food brands and for some cannabis companies, and, never really thought I'd find myself, so entrenched in the herbal space. And I feel really lucky to be here, because I think that it's one of the healing modalities that people don't talk enough about. And so on this journey, I think networking has been a really key, incredible part. And whether that's, networking with people at the Pharmacy Podcast Network, and then be able to have this opportunity, but also, network with people who are just in the integrative health space in general. And so this brings me to what I'm currently doing with the majority of my time, and absolutely loving it and learning so much literally every single day, is co-founding a botanical wellness brand that utilizes active cannabinoids as well as different botanicals, and really puts them together in these beautiful formulations that promote health, wellness, and beauty. So through the beauty of networking, using beauty again, but through the beauty of networking, I was able to meet with incredible people. And throughout these, different, 30-minute, let's get to know each other calls and everything, I did meet this one woman, Davina Kaunohi, and we connected. She messaged me and we met up for coffee, and I met with her and was like, wow, this is so, fascinating, this background that she has, as well as this company that she wanted to start. And she had already also been seeking out, partners to create this company, whether it was medical advisors, and realizing the importance of having medical oversight in the supplement space was really novel to me, in the best way though, because so many supplement brands, you might not be aware, but don't have anyone medical on their staff. And it's a lot of people who want to create these products to really help people. And I think so many supplement companies come from a pure place of wanting to help certain patient populations. But that being said, a lot of these companies do not have any medical oversight within their team. And so I think that's where a lot of companies fall short, because they're really looking to make this lasting impact on patients or on customers, but they're not really sure what doses to use, or maybe what herbs are the right, combinations together, or which vitamins and minerals to choose, and what the research really says about using them, but also using them in combination. And of course, as pharmacists, the first thing I'm thinking of, with formulating anything, of course, is is looking at that risk benefit ratio. So how do we optimize benefit while decreasing the amount of risk for every single patient that we try to help? So in that, I met her for coffee. She asked me to join as a medical advisor. She told me a little bit about the background of the company and everything. And I was sold. I was like, okay, I definitely want to be a part of what she's growing, what she's building. And so, as you know, joining as a medical advisor initially, and then taking on more and more responsibility, realizing that there was more opportunity and things that I could do to help the company. And so, a few months in, she officially asked me to join as a co-founder prior to launching products. We launched in 2020 officially, yes, in the midst of the pandemic. And then after that, continued to slowly grow. And it's been an amazing learning experience. And I can speak more about that too, taking on these different roles, trying so many different things from, working in the medical device industry to working in, consumer initiated at-home testing at Everlywell as their director of medical communications, and then consulting with other women's health brands and doing a lot of things along the way. But officially starting full time with, this passion project that I've done on the side that I've believed in, but never really gave that full on chance until about 6 months ago when I decided to go for it. And it's been one of the most, challenging and rewarding and exciting times of my entire career. So would love to speak more about that if you're interested in hearing more about entrepreneurship. But then, I just wanted to give this background so you have an idea of where I'm coming from, a little bit about my background, why I'm so passionate about integrative health and why I really think that it is this conversation and this interplay of all these different modalities. And if we look at the statistics and we look at the research, most people in North America are on at least one or more, or up to even 6 medications every single day. And so how do we, improve the quality of life of all of these people while still maintaining safety and efficacy with everything that we do? So if someone comes to me and says, I'm having these issues with sleep, which, oh my goodness, so many people would do that at the pharmacy, I would, sit down with them and be like, okay, so tell me a little bit more about your lifestyle. Tell me, what medications you're taking regularly. Tell me what supplements you're taking, what herbs. Tell me if you have any allergies. Of course, all those, crucial questions that you would ask a patient that we're taught in school. But then also looking at all the different modalities and saying, okay, with my knowledge base, let's talk about what you could do in terms of sleep hygiene. Let's talk about what you can do in terms of herbs and homeopathy and maybe other modalities they didn't even consider. So that's a little bit about the way that I think about health and wellness, and really appreciate you tuning into this intro. And as we go along, I'll speak a little bit more about the company, about Element Apothec, and I'll give a little more background. So Element Apothec started actually about a decade ago, or if not a bit longer than that. So her great aunt, so her is in Davina, our CEO and one of my co-founders, her great aunt was inflicted with quite a few autoimmune conditions and also had a lot of allergies to conventional medications. So she was told that she did not have a great prognosis and that modern medicine couldn't really help her anymore with all of her conditions and her deteriorating condition. And so she, didn't want to take that as an answer and decided, this is my opportunity to take my health into my own hands, and learned about herbal medicine and essential oils and started seeing what nature could provide and what sort of formulations she could create for herself to see if she could help heal herself. And so through learning about cannabis, other herbs and essential oils, as I mentioned, she put together these different different formulations and really started healing herself from the inside out. And so through these different formulations, she was able to get to a place where she wasn't bedridden anymore. And even to this day, she's up and about taking her morning walks and living her best life, honestly. So these herbs and different formulations really changed her life. And so a lot of people in her life took notice, and they were like, oh, could you make me something for this condition, for this, that, and the other? Just so she started creating different custom formulations. And it, got to the point where Davina jokes that, her entire kitchen started looking like an apothecary with amber bottles everywhere and different herbal extracts and mortars and pestles and all of that. And that's what she was doing with all her free time, and it became her passion. And so she started doing that for friends and family. Then she also started selling at farmers markets, and throughout, the years, she created over 40 different custom formulations. And so a lot of what we do now at Element Apothec is what I have done is, built out this medical advisory team. And so we sit with these initial formulations that Aunt Lola has put together, and then we dissect them and look at what modern science can offer with, utilizing other plant extracts that she might not have known about. And through this oversight of our integrative gastroenterologist, Dr. Marvin Singh, who's triple board certified, to our integrative dermatologist, who's incredible, and also other integrative healthcare professionals like pharmacists and other formulators, we really sit down together and have these amazing conversations 1 to 2 times a month about how we can push the industry forward and do something different. Because, the CBD space, unfortunately, is very saturated right now. And there is a lot of, misinformation on cannabis as well as other herbal remedies and, natural products. And that's something that I want to address in this podcast, is that there is research and there is evidence about so many of these different things that you might see on the market and different supplements that you might see out. But then also there's, maybe some supplements out there that don't have a lot of research and are just like shrouded in fad, and they're just really popular because certain influencers are talking about them. And not necessarily that like that's a bad thing, but we just want to ensure that whatever we're, incorporating into our daily routines and into our regimens really are serving us and, promoting our health and wellness and really helping us live our best lives and have, the best quality of life that we can. But at the end of the day, it's not up to us as healthcare professionals. It's up to the patient to decide exactly what they want to do. And we can serve as that guide to help them. At least that's the way I view it within integrative health. So that's a little bit about, the background and where the company started, and, would love to hear what you all want to hear more about in the new year. We are here so excited to start talking about all these different topics. So I have quite a few topics on my short list. I'm looking at it right now, but if there's anything that you all specifically want to hear about, that's why I'm here. So again, this is Dr. Swathi Varanasi. I go by Dr. Swathi for short. Just excited to be here and excited to share what I've learned over the years being an integrative health pharmacist and a wellness entrepreneur, to how I can help you be the best version of you. Alrighty, signing off. Thank you so much. Until next time.